Hey, I'm Joal Kamps. I'm from Canada. I play Rocky Mountain folk music. I love the woods. I love coffee. I love God. Let's see, nature is a pretty big thing for me. There's the idea out of the Book of Romans actually talks about God's characters is revealed in the world, but specifically like his creativity, aspects of his artistry and stuff like that. Art is revealed in nature, and that's for a long time was one of the clear ways that I saw God, or saw that there was a God for sure. I live east of the Rocky Mountains in a city called Calgary, and so ever since I was young, my parents always took me out to the woods. We always did hikes, camping, all that jazz, and I did mountain biking for quite a while, and more recently I've gotten quite into rock climbing and bouldering, and so I'm always out there. Whenever I do like to write music, I do typically like to just throw my guitars in my car, drive out in the middle of nowhere and hike in, and then just go play for a day, come up with some new ideas. One of the songs off my very first EP, Waiting, is called Isaac, and it's about this man who lives in the woods, and he's in love with the trees, and people want to cut down the trees, and he gets quite upset. It kind of works its way out a little bit in everything that I do, in a lot of my artwork as well. It has a lot to do with nature. Yeah, and then just, I mean, being in a setting like Tomfest, like here, like, I don't really see a better place to be doing a festival than out in the woods. It's just totally comfy. We have a word in Dutch, it's called gezellig. It means very kind of cozy, and yeah, it's just proper, it's right. I've tried all sorts of different takes on songwriting, and as I've been progressing in my career, the way I go about songwriting has changed quite a bit, I think, just with coming up with ideas and then refining them and all that stuff. It's kind of weird. My mom is a educational psychologist, and she does a lot of stuff with kinesiology, and there's a lot to do with kinesiology that actually goes hand in hand with songwriting. The idea of like hyper-focusing, rather, the left side and right side of your brain with your creativity and your logic. The idea of sitting down to start writing a song is counterproductive just based on a physical or a biophysical kind of understanding. You need to be walking or hiking or doing something with gross motor skills to get your ideas, and then when you want to logically organize them, that's when you sit down and finalize a song. I still definitely like to go out to the woods. I try and get out of the city at least once a week, if possible. And to this day, I've still been doing a lot of writing outdoors. It's just, I think, always kind of going to be that way. I think that's definitely, that's one of my other creative outlets, I think. Everyone has writer's block from time to time, and for me, I think typically when I start feeling writer's block musically, then it's a good time for me to turn to some visual arts, try and get some of that flowing again. And I find once that starts happening, I'm just all enthused again, and I'm able to return back to songwriting, working on music, lyrics, poetry, all that stuff. The visual arts is just another neat way for me to get some of my other creative ideas out. I mean, ultimately, I'd love to incorporate visuals with a live performance, have some projected images behind me, or even different art pieces that go with each of the different songs, representing all sorts of things within the songs. I like a lot of symbolism in my surrealist work, as you've mentioned, so it's just something I've got to do. I've got to write music. I've got to create things. I think it's actually, yeah, totally. That's actually, I never really thought about that, but that's, I think, exactly how it is. I have this one song called Amsterdam, talking about riding a traveler, and there's a train reference, and then I started working on this art piece where I wanted to do this train coming through these fields in the middle of the prairies, Albertan prairies, and so there's a bit of a correlation there. And then also with some of my other pieces, I've done some different acrylic works. The idea of Dry Bones, another song, very similar to some of my guitar case work. Heart of Stone, very similar to my other guitar case. So it's kind of interesting. I never really realized the correlation, but I think it's totally there actually now that I think about it. Yeah, that's sweet to know. Cool, thank you. I have taken quite a break from the visual arts, so I would really kind of like to get back into doing that again. Really, time is the biggest thing. Same with writing music, you just need so much time to have set aside to work on things. The next big plans right now, I just received a grant from Relco Radio up in Canada. So that's going to be going towards a new full-length record. I have 3 EPs kind of in the works. I've just released the first EP, the red EP. I'm going to be doing a black EP and a white EP. Now those might culminate in the new full-length record, or I may still try and release separate EPs. But for sure there's a full-length coming out in 2010. I have another music video in the works, and I just signed a distribution contract with Dynasty Records up in Canada. So the albums will be able to, you can pick them up in just about any store in Canada or in the States, and over 200 online sites or something like that. The Red EP was specifically a little more targeted just for a little bit of a poppier album, slightly more radio friendly. Being a musician in Canada is pretty impossible, or very difficult rather. So you kind of, in some senses, need to. I'm trying to not lose any of my creative integrity or license, and so the album itself is quite diverse. It's a bunch of songs that I wrote, that I love, and I wrote them the way I wanted to. But that's a little bit more of the poppy album. The idea of love is fairly eminent on there. Red is often associated with pop culture and love throughout all sorts of different world cultures. The Black EP is going to be a little bit of a darker subject matter record. Deals with a lot of songs that make people rather uncomfortable or cringe. And vice versa, the White Album is going to be the spiritual or religious or whatever people want to call that album, and that will also make people probably uncomfortable and cringe. I joke, I write a lot of music that bugs everyone, but it's good. It's good. It's what I think I'm supposed to do. I've had this whole slew of songs since I released my first EP, and now I'm finding that there tends to be these 3 different categories that the songs fit in: fairly lighthearted, or else quite personal, pretty, yeah, can make people feel a little bit uncomfortable, or just music that people can really relate to, and then also some other music that fits into a more kind of more overtly spiritual concepts, also that a lot of people can relate to, and it also starts a lot of discussions as well. I mean, I play everywhere, so I meet lots of different people. I'm kind of a strange person, maybe. I'm quite a fan of confrontation, and not confrontation with the negative connotation that we've assigned it, but confrontation in bringing things to light, bringing things out into the light, bringing truth, bringing closure, honesty, dealing with things on a case-to-case basis. So I think the idea of making people feel a little bit uncomfortable is good. I think it's really healthy. It helps one build character. It actually gives you the opportunity to practice integrity, and I mean, for myself, that alone has been a huge struggle my entire life. So I really do appreciate it when I am challenged by other people. Though it's not always fun at the time, it does serve a very good purpose, I think. And really, I think when the end desire is to be beneficial in being confrontational, then it's the right kind of confrontation.